Hello and welcome to Star Citizen Sunday. This is a weekly show which covers all the news of Star Citizen from the week just past. I am your host Mac, so let's get on with it. So this week we have a fully packed show as we have 2 weeks worth of information. We learn more about Item 2.0, we catch up with the Reclaimer and the Hull C progress, plus some updates on surface outposts. So on Around the Verse this week it was the Austin update. They say that they are focused on 3.0 and the near-term goals. They're working on state machines for the first NPCs that they will be using, like Miles Eckhart, who is a mission giver. The state machines visualize how an NPC will behave. Something very interesting they did mention was that they're creating a nav beacon system which allows players to create their own roads throughout the star systems in space and on a planet. Now, these nav beacons are a physicalized object which is deployed from your ship, giving the players physical markers to lock onto and then quantum travel to. You will be able to then grant access for other people to use your nav beacons, or other people may be able to hack into your nav beacons and use it for their own methods to maybe follow you somewhere perhaps. Over time they say that these nav beacons will need to be serviced, so they will, I suppose, depreciate and need to be updated by the owner to maybe replace the power sources, which just provide a bit more gameplay when travelling between places. But with them also being physical objects, you'll be able to find other beacons set by other people. You can destroy them. It may bring some interesting gameplay decisions. Do you destroy them? Do you hack them? Do you sell the information or location of them to a pirate? Really, really cool stuff, and I do like the idea of this. Miles Eckhart is having some polishing on his behaviours. Gaining access to his missions will be granted to players if they complete certain jobs within 3.0. Pretty sure they'll likely be shady jobs. But once you've done those missions, you can then choose any of the missions that he has available to you. So they've also finished the shopping services in Subsumption, which is now ready to be hooked up. They're working on ship LODs for the Cutlass Black. Server engineers are working hard supporting the shopping service as well. And they've finished up the two-handed carry animations for the Persistent Universe. Now this includes standing, crouching and while in 0G as well. You'll be able to pick up 25, 50 or 75 centimeter crates, which are now the new standard metric for in-game crates. These can be picked up off the floor and then maybe placed on a shelf. Crouching, so when you're crouching you can only pick up sizes 25 and 50 centimeters. In 0G you can grab them all. Code and Tech has also hooked it up to allow you players to receive cargo in 0G, EVA back to your ship and then stow your loot in your cargo bay. Very cool. Very excited to see this progress, or to get our hands on it for 3.0. They're doing a last minute mocap shoot for the stocked locomotion rifle, plus female exercise animations for when NPC females are working out. They've started a mocap work on specific NPCs, so going into a pub, you can get a drink from the bartender, or buy something from a shopkeeper. These are getting worked on as well. They've continued work on the ship cockpit experience. They're updating the G-force poses as well and adjusting the cockpit geometry to allow for button presses, which is all part of this new Item 2.0, where you're able to interact with your cockpit a lot further. They're creating a new system to allow comm calls in ships while in flight. Hopefully this means it's like an internal PA system, allowing you to talk to your friends within the ships, as well as maybe hail other ships in the vicinity. So they're optimizing the build constantly as new builds are coming in. They're collecting performance feedback too to discover areas needing improvements in all areas of the game, so they're constantly updating it. They're continuing to test the moons in the Stanton system for any potential issues such as collision and performance. A lot of new ships, FPS items and vehicles came online throughout the month, including the new Bayring P8 SC machine gun. They're testing the new procedural stamina and breathing system, plus the new air traffic controller system, and they're also working on game logic. Now for a quick Spectrum update, they say that they're redesigning the website to make it a lot easier for newcomers, helping to show off what the game actually has for those who don't know. There will be a new player guide covering all these bases so you can learn how to start playing the game. Obviously for us veterans it's quite straightforward, but for those coming into the game new, it's quite complicated because there's lots about the game that people need to know. Expect lots of updates coming to Spectrum to make it more user-friendly and convenient. Mobiles will be getting better as well to use it, and I think in 0.3.6, I think we're currently 0.3.5 or maybe 3.4 at the moment, but 0.3.6 will have org roles available. So the feature on Around the Verse this week was Item 2.0. Now they're currently converting all the ships into Item 2.0, and this will give the support for a multitude of features needed for all the ships within the game. plus other things as well. This supports long-term features that had to be completely built from scratch, which is another reason why it's taken so long. Ships will have modular components which will be upgradable, swappable, and damageable. They want to have ships which can die due to failing components, or maybe explode due to damage to the integral parts. The current system is not efficient enough for the scale of the game. I think to start with, we'll have things like power, cooling, and shield. So you'll be able to turn power off in a room, then the lights will go off. And when you open up a door connected to a room, it will suck out the atmosphere. Airlocks will cycle like real airlocks. Atmospheric flight will affect your fuel consumption differently to space flight. It will make the ship systems more transparent and easier for the player to understand as well. So they're rebuilding everything like doors, both internal and external. And we'll be able to actually see the components physically on your ship. You'll be able to remove them, provided they're small enough. Bigger ones may need a bit of assistance. And you'll be able to steal them from other ships and derelicts and salvage them. Very, very important. Now, they also spoke about the interaction system, which will give you a much greater interaction with your ship. This does all tie with item 2.0 and the components. Floating text is the way it'll sort of, I can't remember what they call it now, but it floats up in front of you and give you information on the action that you are about to do. So you can choose maybe to open the canopy, extend the ladder, retract the ladder, get into your ship, so on and so forth. They've had to retrofit every part of the ships, like the cockpits, so that you can interact with your ship properly. The engineering station will operate in the same way, so you'll look at us in a certain direction and hit a button which will perform a certain task, like maybe divert power from a component while it's being repaired. This system will show how different each component feels and will incentivize players to upgrade components. Item 2.0 brings a lot of multi-crew involvement too. You will require someone on shields or power to manage while you're in a heavy fight. You know, so many more gameplay opportunities with Item 2.0 rather than just the simple sitting in a turret. So also the ship lights will now register to the control manager and require heat and power to work, and this applies to every system that is going to be on board your ships. These systems will need power, they'll need certain resources in order to work. The dashboard within the cockpits will be its very own item as well, with interaction points, and players will get indications as to what each button does and what switches do what, etc. It is a very, very cool system. It's going to make the ships feel personal to you. It's going to make it feel like an actual realistic item, like a car does, switching the radio, you know, indicators and so forth. This is a system that I think is very exciting. It doesn't only just apply to ships, it applies to the rest of the world or the rest of the verse. Every vehicle, even doors, airlocks, they all require this item 2.0. It is exciting stuff, and 3.0 will hopefully be the beginning of it all, and they'll progress from there. Anyway, that was ATV, guys. Let's move on. So apologies for the delay in drawing this month's giveaway. As you know, courtesy of my patrons, each month I give away a Star Citizen starter package. To stand a chance of winning, all you need to do is be a subscriber to my YouTube channel and comment on any video I create within that particular month. I have got a winner for this month's Star Citizen starter package, and that person is Wreaks. Congratulations, sir. If you would like to head over to my Discord channel using the link below in the description and send me a DM with your RSA handle and email associated with your account, I'll get that sent over to you straight away. Do not worry if you didn't win though. As usual, we'll give away another starter package for June, so be sure to comment on any of my videos throughout of June and hit that subscribe button to stand a chance. So for the latest around the verse, we came from the UK studio. They've started off by mentioning the air traffic controller has had the groundwork completed and they're now moving into more functionality like the communications between the ATC. When you're in your cockpit, you will be using the player interaction system to target the station that you require to land at and then request the landing, after which a dialogue will then pop up where the NPC will begin talking to you. They're currently implementing this now, setting it up for Port Olisar. Hopefully this will be for 3.0. They're also introducing in 3.0 a new hint system to make Star Citizen more accessible for new players, so on-screen hints, just lowering the learning curve a little bit, plus spawning into levels will be changed for 3.0 just for optimization reasons. Work continues with missions for 3.0 as well. Progress on the mission broker and mission manager via your Mobiglass. We saw the new UI for the Mobiglass, which looks very, very nice. This will give you access to your missions, plus track what missions you have and the progress of each mission. AI locomotion is getting refined. This is the way that the AI will walk and run around a level. The old way looks very unnatural. This new pass looks a lot smoother and far more natural. The graphics team are wrapping up and bug fixing many of the previous features like the lit fog, real-time planet lighting, holograms and video comms as well. They're tweaking lighting for levels to improve the appearance of how ground reflections of the sun at sunset and sunrise will look. The animations team is working on a previs for the new Gemini L86 ballistic pistol, plus the Arrowhead sniper rifle is now close to final. Takedowns have gone from an implementation pass to a more refined animation pass, with focus on stronger composition, solid posing, clear silhouettes and polish to the mocap data, and it does look very, very cool. Some work is ongoing with improvements to posing for enemy patrol states and reactions to sight and sound, and we can see a little snippet of it here. They're also finishing the facial animations for 3.0 mission givers. Eckhart's body animation is getting polished as well and implemented too. They've captured some footage from a recent audio and facial shoot from great actors that they say, which will go a long way when fleshing out the PU. Now for visual effects, the VFX team has continued testing the new lighting entity, focusing on small scale interior lighting. They've also tested new particle features provided by the graphical team for better trail options and sparks. There's a final Levski visual effects pass underway at the moment, which includes refinery flames and general ambience. The new Cutlass interior damage effects and thrusters effects are now done. Work has continued on atmospheric flight, focus on playtesting and bug fixing, plus ongoing polish for weapon visual effects, always continuing. The Origin 600i, the concept for this is now finished, and they're looking forward to revealing it to us. They say it's very sleek, but we didn't see any images. The next ground vehicle is rocking along, not sure what that could be. And they're just about to kick off a whole new range of ships as well, so, you know, thoughts on what they could be, please. They've used the existing Clausen Werner FPS weapon to apply the style to a new ship laser repeater, plus they're looking at the new Max Ox neutron repeaters, which do look very, very cool. They're hammering away at further Schumann mining interiors. They're working out a few more areas to improve its believability. Work has continued on furthering the infrastructure of the habitation pods, which include comm arrays, water collectors and small deployable comm units. Space scenes are getting a new major facelift for 3.0, which they're adding large volumes of interplanetary space dust within the Stanton system. They also say that adding texture and visual interest is a big priority for 3.0 release. They've reworked some of the distant nebulas within the Stanton system, and it does look very, very cool. They're working on a large-scale nebula rendering techniques. They're using the Pyro system as a test case, and this looks fantastic. You want to fly through it, but you kind of feel like you shouldn't. They're also exploring the look and the feel of the Coil, which plays a major role in the first campaign. Not sure exactly what this is, but it looks like it could be some interesting place to of part of the missions. So their ongoing work with the truck stop station, they're getting some visual updates, finalising the main hull pieces before proceeding to the front and back sections. They want to make sure that all the areas do not look repetitive. Now they're adding to the surface outpost archetypes, including an emergency shelter dotted around the moons for downed pilots to take refuge while waiting rescue. Really nice idea. I assume this is mainly to provide a bed so people can log off safely in the game, you know, if their ship is blown up. But also gameplay wise, there could be storms rolling in or creatures wanting to eat you, so being able to hide out in these places will be very nice. They've added an illegal drug lab as well, which may or may not be found on a moon, they say, so there must be one somewhere. Finding this would be very cool. Whether or not we'll be able to use it, I doubt it, but there may be some black market goods around there, maybe to sell on. They're testing outpost materials as well for sand and ice locations. This determines the dirt and the wear buildup. They're also exploring branding prototypes for procedural locations to give more history and lore. So we saw the Rayari, I believe it was. This is a test, and we also saw the Schumann. Looking nice. So in terms of the Reclaimer, work is now completed on the drone room. They really wanted to focus on drone storage and deployment, as they're excited to see it come functional when drones come online, and I have to agree, I'm looking forward to that. The engine room is also completed. They just repurposed the Idris assets and laid textures from the Reclaimer over it. The exterior damage setup is near completion too, so this ship must be very, very close, especially if they're getting damage states done. I think LODs may be next. The work on the derelict ships and wreckage is coming to an end for the initial batch. We got to see the Caterpillar and the Constellation, which just looks so cool. This will have many mission scenarios involved in them. I cannot wait to find these. After this, they showed us a Gladius cockpit, which has been revamped and relit for a better cockpit experience. Now this is improving the player's feeling and immersion. The Gatling gun is being revealed more, and it just looks very, very cool. It looks so realistic. They keep making these ships better, even after they've made them better in the first place. So from there we saw the Hull C. Now the Hull C, they are working on the landing mechanism and detailing the inner bay areas. The front section of the interior is now complete and they're getting a lighting pass, using the new lighting groups. Once complete, they will model the tunnel and the rear area and then light it in the same fashion. I do love that they have kept the central front landing gear entryway like we had on the Freelancer before. I love that. I was disappointed when they took it away from the Freelancer. Anyway, they're giving some love to the Dying Light Arena Commander map. They're putting some procedural asteroids in there. And both Star Marine maps are receiving a number of balance changes based on community feedback. Plus, Last Stand has added a sneaky EVA route. So for UI, they've made progress on getting the home screen of the Moby-Glass fully functional with readouts and status of the player and the environment. They've got a player loadout management app working too. Should easily carry over for the ship loadouts as well. This does look very, very nice, this new diegetic sort of screen that they're using. Work has continued on designing and implementing the player customization menu, which will be included in 3.0. You'll be able to create your character. Initially, it will be limited, but expanded on the future. It looks like just eyes, hair, and face at the moment. They're working on 3.0 planet ambience and audio, placing sounds dynamically around the player as he explores the surfaces. It does sound nice having all that wind rushing past, especially when we're going to be looking through Wrecs. The refining ship weapon audio, which we saw a great scene firing for the Bay Ring size 2 laser cannon, which just looked incredible firing at the ground. I can just imagine attacking ground forces, or avoiding being attacked by a ship. Got some sounds for kiosks as well. Now, this one sounds very alien-like, which is great, but obviously not everyone wants aliens. This is all based on the sort of level of tech.
Of these vary to suit their tech level, and this presents some great opportunities to reinforce their look and feel.
So what we heard was a low-tech kiosk, but expect in the sort of more market, nicer stations for a higher-tech, futuristic kiosk sounds. Prep has begun for a Foley session to extend on the footsteps plus a lot of other areas. And that was the studio update. Really, really cool update there. Item 2.0 Part 2 was the next deep dive, but they focused more on the challenges that they faced when creating this. So do follow the timestamp in the description if you would like to watch it for yourself, but I will be creating a separate video highlighting the interesting parts. So last week we had a town hall for subscribers. It was focused on the UK prop team. Now the UK prop team creates loads of content from things like phones, data pads, bins, all the way to ship components. Pretty much anything you see lying around. They're currently working on things like power plants, quantum drives, avionic computers, shield generators, and something called jump stabilizers, which kind of speak for themselves, but it's nice to see that we're going to have a bit more further in-depth components. Now it starts off where designers would request an item, then conceptors or concept team would come up with the look of it, and then they'd hand that to the props who would deliver a physical in-game asset. And these components need to obviously sit on your ship, but they need to be able to be removed and carried around, depending on the size. So the smallest component for a ship is about 25 centimeters, which can be carried in one hand. The largest is about the size of the room that these guys were sitting in. There's some really great scale to these. Each need to be interactable, and they all contain subcomponents or sub-items to allow you to tune them and upgrade them. One of them that they mentioned was the avionics, which looks like a sort of a box of set of drawers, a bit like server blades that we have. That's what they use for inspiration. I think we've seen them in the engine rooms of the bigger ships, like the Caterpillar. For the small items, they have covered about 5 different areas, or 5 different types, and then they have about 25 variations per type. So there's already a load of different components. And this is just for the small ships, let alone how many components medium ships or even capital ships would require. Ship manufacturer branding as well will be consistent with each component, being able to recognize each brand, and I guess over time instantly realize if it's one of the more expensive or more of the cheaper ones. There's currently, I think there's going to be about 4 different grades. So you have low grade all the way up to high grade. And they will show the grade of a component using the colouring and materials, so again, you'll instantly recognise the quality. What they do is they get it into white box as soon as possible, because once it's in white box, it's a physical object that every other team can start developing it further, while the prop team fleshes it out further. Some props, they say, can take hours to complete, whereas others could be 2 to 3 weeks depending on its complexity. For 3.0, they say they're working on a lot of surface outposts, just filling the interior sets. So when they get a room from an outpost, the first pass would be the large furnishings like machinery, desks, beds, and pretty much fitting out what the room's purpose is. And then each pass after that will add a little more intricate detail, down to things like pens and pieces of paper or clipboards. They are working on the finishing touches now on surface outposts. They've worked on the exterior assets for them as well, making them feel like they belong to that surface, like they've been there for years. The largest prop they've ever worked on is a weather station, which is one of the exterior outpost assets. The smallest is, I think they said it was about a pen, or even a little medical bag size. Shipping containers, they say, are very large, but recently they have got a massive mining machine, which they just cannot talk about, so we'll have to wait and see for that one. Props will have damage states as well. They're looking to see what they can achieve for 3.0, but maybe not everything will have damage states straight away, but things like maybe shooting a bottle would, have a damage effect there. But a great example, he said, of you being able to use this is being able to pick up gas canisters, plant them in places where you can shoot them to explode, and maybe set up a trap. If there's a few enemies coming down a corridor, you can line those corridors with explosive canisters, and when they get close, you can shoot them. Also, he says grabbing and placing crates where, like you can set up some cover perhaps. This allows players to create their own little gameplay scenarios, and it's just so much more in depth than having to deal with what's already around and not move things around. It also works with shooting maybe screens on data pads and shooting out light. So if you are being attacked, you can set up your area, get prepared if you know that people are coming. Now, they said in terms of aliens, they've worked on fruit and small-scale alien assets. They can't really say much about it, but for future they will obviously need a lot of alien assets, as we'll be able to visit their planets, their ships, and so forth. So there's gonna be a lot of work there, but I think they can't really mention too much about it. They really want to get things like bobbleheads into cockpits. Like they said that we can decorate our cockpits with all like fluffy dice, postcards and things. That is still in the plans. They're now dedicating time to the hangar posters, the models, the flares that you get with your ship package. Now they have a greater team working on it, they have more time to do it. Anyway, that was the majority of what I got from that. Let me know your thoughts. So also this week we had 2 lawmakers, the first one focusing on the Callus system and the second featuring the Tyac system. Spectrum was updated to Alpha 0.3.5. Do follow the links below to learn more about this update. May's monthly report is available. Again, the link is in the description. And finally, there was a Congress Now post titled Hooks of Vote. If you have been following this story, I suggest giving it a read. So that brings us to the end of the show. Thank you for watching, and thank you to our subscribers, plus a massive thank you to our patrons as you make this possible. If you like what we do and want to help us make it better, follow the link in the description to our Patreon page to learn more.